Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today we're going to talk about a creativity exercise that I like to use, and I use this myself quite regularly when I get into a bit of a creative rut and just want to shoot something different in different ways, that sort of thing. This is actually day 10 of my 14-day photo creativity challenge. Get to share that with you guys, and later on in the episode here, I'll share with you how to get involved in that challenge as well. It's a lot of fun. A lot of people have taken that up and it's very popular. But first, let's play the intro. So the big question is this: how do smartphone photo enthusiasts like us become that creative and confident photographer we desire and deserve to be, creating those beautiful, impactful photos? This podcast will give you the answers. I'm Mike, and welcome to the Smartphone Photography Club. So again, if you're listening to this in the podcast, that's fantastic. Love for you to subscribe and leave a comment. And if you're listening to watching this on YouTube, so you can get the visual side of this, that's fantastic. Make sure, remember to click that bell so that you can hear and be notified when the next episode drops. That'd be great. So let's get into it. So creativity, that's one of those two challenges for us photo enthusiasts. Even myself, 20 years working in photography, I worked in a very technical field of photography, so creativity just did not, there was no room for creativity in what I was doing. And for a lot of us photo enthusiasts, we love taking photos. We love that little, that feel-good moment when you've taken a great photo or you've taken a photo that somebody else really appreciates. It's great, and we're getting right into photography. You and I are different from a lot of people out there. 99% of people that just take photos and people have their phones were filled with 30, 60,000 photos, but they're not photographers. You and I, we're photo enthusiasts, we're hobbyists. We love taking photos, but we love creating photos. And sometimes the challenge is, how do I go from taking snapshots and recording the scene in front of us, which our smartphones do an incredible job of, but how do I make it look as good as that social media feed or wherever it is that I get inspired by photos? National Geographic, that's I could go on there. But some of those photos, they set up for months to get those photos, but you look at it and go, I've just, and tragically, a lot of us blame our phones, and either we wait to get into photography until we get a big camera, or we just don't take photos, which is even worse. So that's why I created this photo creativity challenge, and it was a response to a survey that I put out in our Facebook group. It said, what is your biggest desire? What is the biggest thing holding you back? And one was composition. How do I set up the photo? And the other one was, creativity. I just don't see the photo opportunities. And that's what this particular day in the challenge is all about, is seeing those photo opportunities, because I'm kind of forcing you to, all right? I'll give you some tools and I'll give you some ideas, but then it's up to you, all right? So primarily, you go and you find a subject. It could be here's an example. If you're watching the YouTube, I went out to my backyard and we have a chimenea, which is a fireplace. It has a round bit at the bottom and then the chimney at the top, and it's inside the garden. So it's a bit of a garden feature. And when I set this up, when I went out there and took these photos, basically the challenge is to take 9 photos of the same subject that are unique. So unique angles, and that's really it, is find unique angles. So if it's something that's 3-dimensional, taking a photo of something flat is going to be difficult because you can't get side on, behind, front, above, below. Above, below, side, and if you're doing front and back, there's 6 or there's 7 already. So then you just need to find 2 more. That's pretty simple. But I want you to find ways of shooting them from those alternative angles where it's interesting. And that's the key, is you want to try and make each of these 9 photos interesting. Okay? So with this chimenea, I took a couple, further back and showed the context of it sitting amongst this green foliage. Fantastic. Another one, I took a photo inside the chimenea, and a close-up inside, you can see some charcoal wood, and I've positioned the charcoal wood and followed the lines of the grate, so that you're looking at this image and your eye follows these lines of the grate inside, and then you've got this main subject, a bit of charcoal, and it's not just a snapshot, it's a setup photo, but you can see all the textures inside the bowl and all that sort of thing. It's pretty cool. The other one I have there is a close-up of the front grille on the front, like the front door, because on this chimenea you can lift the latch and then the front door swings out, and that has a nice crisscross kind of metal grate, if you like, and it's all rusted. This thing is completely rusted. I've had it for years, and it's very heavy. It's not much fun to move around, and it's really rusted. So getting in really close, and I actually used a Struman Optics macro lens attachment, and you can get all that amazing texture and details out of the rust. So that was the second one. The third one, I have a bird bath inside inside the garden there as well, and the bird bath was full to the top. I can't remember whether I actually topped it up a little bit. I top it up all the time for the birds, and it created a nice reflection. So shooting nice and low on the water surface gave me a nice reflection of the chimenea. So you can see it in the background and you can see it in the water as well. And then the next two shots were the next shot is basically from above, shooting down. That one's not as interesting, but there's some shape and form, and that's one of the things you look for in a photo is shape and form. And skipping the next one, I've already mentioned that, is the front on. And then the next two shots I took from a side, nice and close, and I have this wispy grass foliage plant next to it. So the first one, I actually used a camera replacement app called Slow Shutter Cam. It's an iOS app, and a lot of modern Android phones now are coming out with options to manually control the length of shutter time. So basically you can create that movement blur in the photos. And then with this one, I actually screwed in the front of my lens attachment a circular polarizing filter, which acted like a neutral density filter. Bang, there's some big words. I just threw it, wasn't it? So basically what I did was on the front of the lens attachment, I had a lens attachment on the front, and on the front of that I could screw in this bit of glass that's a dark piece of glass, and what that does, it lets less light in, and that way I could slow the camera down. All right, that's another topic for another podcast, going into all ISO and shutter speed. So what it did was it allowed the grass in the wind to move, and I had that movement blur. So you can see the chimenea through the grass, but the grass has created a nice soft blur, so it's a bit of an artistic effect to it. The next one, the seventh image I took, it was basically a black and white. So I actually captured this as a on the iPhone, and a lot of our cameras now have live filters. You can go in there and you can actually shoot as a black and white, or a sepia tone, or vibrant, or what they call it, vivid, or there's lots of different filters, live filters you can shoot with your camera, and a lot of them, when you go to edit it, you can actually revert it back to a color, which is one of the things I love about it. So with that one, I shot this one as a silver tone. So I created a nice high contrast black and white, so you can see the soft leaves and against the hard structure of the chimenea, which was really cool. The next one is another angle, shooting from the bottom, shooting up, because it's one of those things that as soon as you shoot something from an alternative angle, from low is fantastic, because we experience life at eye level. And when I look at that chimenea every day out in the backyard, I'm looking at it from eye level. Yes, I might be looking at it from different angles, but I never get on the ground and look up from ground level, look up. So that's what makes it interesting instantly. And I remember a photo I shared a few years ago now at Princess Bridge in Melbourne. And I had two separate people comment and say, I walk across that bridge every day and I've never seen that bridge from that perspective before, and it was really cool. So yeah, so something alternative to just simple eye level. And I encourage people to go on my workshops, in our Facebook group, and comments in the courses and that sort of thing, is to, if you've got kids or pets, get down low, get down on their level, because it just makes it look so much more interesting. It does. Yeah, okay. And the ninth one in my example here is on either side of the chimenea, it's got these ring handles. So I captured one so that, using that rule of thirds we covered in previous episode, I positioned the chimenea and the handle just to the right side of the screen, so it fills up that right third. that does. And then so basically I've got 2/3 of the image left, and I filled that with a nice, basically the foliage, the green foliage of one of these grass plants. And it's positioned in a way that it's like a starburst of green leaves. And so your eye goes to the handle, the ring of the chimney, goes to that first when I look at it, and then my eye goes to the starburst of green foliage, which is quite vibrant, but those leaves create those leading lines back again. So your eye kind of goes around, moves around. So it's a bit more dynamic than just a static photo. So yeah, so that's it. If you do struggle with the subject and coming up with 9 different ways, and you think, I don't have a Strümming Optics macro lens, I don't have a wide angle lens, I don't have these things that Mike's talking about, I don't have a bird bath, and you're thinking, I just can't get these unique angles, then basically just go out into your backyard or local park, wherever you can get access to, and just shoot an area 9 different ways. So then you can go up to a rock, take a photo of the rock, you can go to some outdoor furniture, take a photo of that, take a photo of the tree, take a photo of a leaf, like just come up with 9 different subjects within that scene. That shouldn't be too difficult. You can even do that inside your house. I have another example inside the Photo Creativity Challenge where I handled this objective by taking a photo of a fork and using a fork, using other props like an egg and incorporating a knife as well. I was able to take 9 completely unique photos of a kitchen fork, which is one of the most mundane subjects. But that's where you start taking this challenge to the next level. So that's basically it. If you want to get involved in this challenge, it's normally $49 on the website. I have a special for the podcast listeners here at the moment. So it's basically smartphonephotographytraining.com/PCC for Photo Creativity Challenge, PCC. And there you can jump on, and for a limited time, you can get access to that for $9 Australian, which is $7 US. So basically I have it discounted quite a lot at the moment because I have a separate Facebook group just for this challenge. And as you know, there's so many different learning styles and different ways of learning, and being part of a Facebook group and seeing other people's interpretations of these different daily exercises, it inspires you, it gives you ideas, and people in there can encourage you and go, oh, that's fantastic. I didn't think to do it that way. But learning from each other, that social learning is great. So I've covered project-based learning, giving you a new exercise every day for 14 days. Each day incorporates new techniques, tips, and strategies, composition, storytelling, all these things. They're kind of building complexity a little bit, starting from very basic. But basically, at the end of the 14 days, it's a transformation. And that's the challenge, is that I want you to believe in those 14 days that, wow, creativity is a process. I can do this. And for me, that was my aha moment. And I covered that in the very first episode. As soon as I could start applying step-by-step systems and processes, all of a sudden it's like, wow, I am creative. I can do this. And that's what this challenge is all about. So I encourage you to jump in there, smartphonephotographytraining.com/PCC. And thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next episode.